Next, let's talk about the top NFL draft picks for next year. There's been a lot of like different lists that have come out listing different people on number one. I've seen some lists listing Marvin Harrison Jr. number one. I've seen lists Caleb Williams, Drake May, Brock Bowers. A lot of this different folks depending on what you need listed out at number one. So just listed at some of the groups out there. I think we had Marvin Harrison Jr., Caleb Williams, Drake May, Brock Bowers, the OT from Penn State, which I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name, Fashion Duo. There, I tried. Kool-Aid and McKinstry, the corner from Alabama, JT Tumulu from Ohio State, Joe Alt from Notre Dame, Jared Verse, the DE from Florida State, and Michael Penix, which I'm surprised after a couple of years, Michael Penix is back on his top 10 list from Washington. So out of that list, all those top 10 guys, anybody jump out to you and who you feel like should be number one, and who do you feel like maybe would have the most longer, most impactful career? So start with you, Jordan. Who you got there?
See, it's such a if depending on who gets that pick, and I think if we see these teams that drafted a quarterback this year not pan out right away, I could see Marvin Harrison popping that number one pick just if he has a great year, and because a lot of times you don't want to. If that quarterback didn't pan out 1 year, but you see a lot of potential and good upside in this 1 year that he played, but just the stuff around him wasn't great. But depending on who drafts first, whoever, a lot of people say Arizona getting that first pick. So they have Caleb Williams, and I can see Caleb Williams get drafted first as well. It really depends on who's first. To me, and the two that you can see is Arizona getting Caleb Williams, or Carolina if they see a lot of upside still in Bryce Young, and he didn't have a great season but still developed enough. I could see Marvin Harrison getting that first pick just to help those young quarterbacks out.
All right, Jess, what do you think?
Well, definitely Carolina won't be picking first overall. They gave up their first round pick this year to Chicago. So
then the Bears will be drafting Marvin Harrison.
Yeah, the Bears. That could be very interesting. I think Marvin Harrison Jr.
Bears are going to the playoffs, so let's just stop that talk right now. Okay.
Oh, okay. Maybe. Marvin Harrison Jr. I think just has separated himself as a prospect from everyone else. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see what a team like Arizona or Chicago end up doing, because I think those are the only teams currently with 2 firsts. Obviously, if Aaron Rodgers plays 60% of the snaps for the Jets, and the Packers will be getting the Jets' first-round pick. So there's a lot of blue chip guys. I think it could be really interesting for the Cardinals to maybe be like, we have the number 1 overall pick, but we kind of want to stick with Kyler. We can trade that out for a team that wants Caleb Williams, and they can just get a massive draft haul for that.
I'm trading Kyler. Sorry, buddy. You're out there.
Well, no. I think it would be best for them to trade Kyler. But the only team that I can think of off the top of my head that would want Kyler, maybe package him and D-Hop together, send him to New England. Because I don't think New England's going to be in a position to draft the top 4 guys, maybe 5, depending on how things play out. And that way they get that wide receiver, they get the quarterback. I don't know. It's just going to be what team's going to want Kyler when it's like, hey, let's not take on that massive contract, and we need a quarterback. So let's go get one of these young guys with tremendous upside that isn't a 5'10", toddler running around the field as the jokes have made him out to be. And maybe it'll work out. I don't know. But right now I think Marvin Harrison's the top prospect. Caleb would be my number 2. Third, I would have Brock Bowers. Fourth, I would have May. And then fifth, I would have Joe Alt, I believe is his name, out of Notre Dame. That would be my top 5.
All right. Here's my thought. It would be a perfect landing spot here for Caleb Williams is that the Falcons were to get him to go along with Bijan Robinson in the backfield. That's just you have your team set, I think, for the future if you're able to pair those two together. I don't know how the Falcons will be next year. I think they'll be competitive. I don't know how terrible they'll be, but I'm not. I think Desmond is good. He's just not going to be a franchise quarterback if he's a good backup. So I think you need to, if you're not as good, if he doesn't show development, then maybe that's where you go out. Hopefully, you can land one of those two: Caleb Williams, Drake May. I think those will be the top two off the board. I think it'd be crazy to take a wide receiver first. If the Bears are terrible enough to get him, then Justin Fields is not doing good. We need to get another quarterback, is my opinion. So, but yeah, I think quarterback was always going to go number one unless there's a team that really doesn't need it. Like if Houston, has a terrible, well, they don't have a first round, right? They traded it, right? So
they have Cleveland's first, but I don't think anyone's anticipating Cleveland to be number one overall pick bad.
Yeah. So
maybe top 10 pick bad just because of how competitive the AFC is, but not number one.
Yeah, so we'll see. Maybe they're Cleveland's bad enough for them to get Marvin Harrison Jr. in the first round next year. That would be a really good pick for them, but we'll see. All right.